Hey YouTube, it's Jirac Master. This is the Gem Knight explanation video. Um, I'm just going to be going over the deck in a little more detail and all of my card choices and what the cards actually do in a little more detail than in the deck video. So these guys, Gem Knight Garnet, they are just a 1900 beater, and they're your fusion material basically. Gem Knight Sapphire is a 2100 defender, and it's also mainly just fusion material. And finally, Tourmaline is a 1618, so it's kind of like the new Sparkman. It's kind of useless in my opinion, except to be used as a fusion material. So there are your three main normal monster fusion materials for the fusions, which I will get into right now. Gem Knight Ruby is, in my opinion, the new Flame Wingman. He pierces, I believe, and you can tribute a Gem Knight monster to have it gain that much attack. And I think it's just until the end phase. I'll just double check that for you. Yep, until the end phase you gain the tributed monster's attack. And he's the strongest of the Gem Knights that we have right now. I don't know exactly what the new ones are going to be, but for now I'm just focusing on these ones. He's 2500 attack, 13 defense, so he's pretty useless for defense. And overall, he is probably the fusion that I would go into most. So, 3 rubies. And then next up is Topaz. Oh, just so you know guys, Ruby needs Garnet and another Gem Knight monster. So Topaz is the one that has 1800 attack, 1800 defense, and he can attack twice per battle phase. And none of these Gem Knight fusions can be special summoned except from the extra deck. So it's really important that you know that. That is the biggest downside to these fusion monsters, is that you can't bring them back once they're already out. So that is a problem for this deck that I've had to work around. At first I thought that Gem Enhancement was going to be good. If you guys don't know what it does, you tribute a Gem Knight monster to bring back another Gem Knight monster from the grave. Not the best, because you can't bring back the fusions. So it's just kind of trading off a Gem Knight for a Gem Knight. It might get a little better once we get whatever his name is. It's kind of like the new Neos. But other than that, it's not the best card right now, so I'm not running it. So Topaz just attacks twice. He takes Tourmaline to come out. He is my next most frequent, I'd guess. And finally, you get your 3 Gem Knight Aquamarines. So this one is a 2600 defender with only 1400 attack, and in my opinion, unless you want to just sit out there with 2600 defense, he's kind of useless, unless you're attacking directly with him, because his only real effect is that after he attacks, after the damage step or battle phase or whatever, one of those two, he is switched to defense position. So he's almost useless in my opinion. I'd rather go into the other two pretty much any time. So those are the fusions. They're not phenomenal, but I do like them. They're nice. It's also mainly the reason the deck works is because you can fuse. So it also just has beaters and whatnot. So Alexandrite is another Gem Knight monster, so you can use it as the extra Gem Knight to fuse, and you can remove it for the Gem Knight fusion to come back to your hand. I'll cover that when I get to Gem Knight fusion. This thing, it's 1800 attack, and it tributes itself to bring out a normal type Gem Knight monster from your deck. Once again, it'll get better when we get the Neos thing. I kind of looked these things up on Dueling Network real quick. So, It tributes itself, brings out one of your Gem Knights. Just a quick way to get a Gem Knight out that you need to fuse with, and it works with Gem Knight Fusion. Next up, I have 3 Gem Armadillos, and these things are pretty much Stratos without the second effect. They have 1700 attack. They're not Gem Knights, so they don't work with the fusions, but they add 1 Gem Knight monster from your deck to your hand. So, just a searcher with pretty good attack power. And finally, Gem Merchant, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, and it does basically Colute effect, except it's only 1000 attack. It actually also gains the defense, so if you have out maybe Aquamarine and they attack because they can get over it, you have 1000 extra defense there. And it's not limited at all, like Honest and Colute both are. So, Earth Honest is here, beware. So that's it for the monsters. Just gonna run over the spells. Gem Knight Fusion, the reason the deck works, it's what makes them fuse and everything. There are only 3 that we can use, so these fusions work with things like polymerization and such, but once you get one of these, you barely even need to get another fusion ability card, because they can add themselves back to your hand from the graveyard by you removing from play a Gem Knight in your graveyard. So that's what I meant earlier when I was talking with Alexandrite. That way you don't lose the good fusion materials, and they're still in the grave for you to reborn or whatever you need to do. You could also remove from play the fusions if you're done with them and they're in your graveyard. Because of Gem Knight Fusion, I'm running one of these just so I can get them back to the graveyard, because later on we do get a card, I believe, that brings things back. It'll be another monster, so when we get that I'll cover it. I'm running these because the fusions are really weak. Mainly, you get the strongest monster in your deck is 2500, and you can't just rely on 3 merchants, because those go away. Burden doesn't. So it just adds to the ability to beat stick people, and it makes it a lot harder for the opponent to get stronger monsters out that will actually beat you. I have 2 Pot of Avarice because the recycling is helpful. You put a lot of things in the grave, and it adds to your hand size. The hand size is really helpful. And the recycling, mainly what I do is I recycle the fusions, because you fuse and then you need to recycle them because they're pretty much useless after they've been sent to the graveyard. So you need to recycle those. And because we have a lot of normal type monsters in this deck, 2 Dark Factories, because they're a lot more helpful than just having the Pot of Avarice. These things, basically, you get, if you use Alexandrite to, say, summon this, use it to send it to the graveyard, special Garnet, and maybe you have Tourmaline in hand, you then fuse, and not to mention, this is in your graveyard as well, because you fused. You get your Ruby, and you remove from play Alexandrite, get this back to your hand, activate that, and you have another Ruby. So that is why Dark Factory is there. Gets back those monsters to your hand that you've wasted, because sacrificing 3 cards from your hand to get out 1 monster is kind of steep. So I had to throw something like that in there. And the trap lineup, since I'm not running the gem enhancement because there's no reason to without some of the new monsters that we'll get later on in subsequent dual terminals, is just a standard lineup. And I skipped over these spells that you'll see in the the video, because they're just standard. If you want to run Call of the Haunted, it's a good card to put in there because it grabs things back for you that are in the grave, and we do put a lot of things in the grave. Just keep in mind, the fusions can't be brought back, they have to be recycled. So, that's the explanation of the gem deck, guys. I might do Vylons, I really have to think about that, but they look like they're going to be a lot better than any of these dual terminal sets that I'm covering. I mean, it might be too early to say that. Lavels are really good. Who knows, maybe I didn't see something in Gem Knights that makes them really good. But Gem Knights just seem a lot harder to play than Vylons, so that's my reasoning behind not covering Vylons yet. And if I do cover Vylons, it'll probably not be as much as I might be updating Gem Knights or Lavels. I'm definitely sticking to Lavels, guys, but I might get rid of the Gem Knight stuff. As you can see, both the Gem Knights and the Vylons are in my binder, but only 2 Lavels because those are the only spares I have. So if you really want these cards from this deck, go ahead and message me. I'll probably only accept cash unless you do a really good trade. So the Gem Knights aren't all that expensive. I've found their most expensive ones are the 2 ultra rares, which are maybe 8 to 10 apiece. So I found Vylons a little more expensive. It's just they have a few less expensive cards. That's just me kind of going off. If you guys want to trade for them or buy them, I might actually get rid of them. So if I do, I'll just post something saying I got rid of them, and I probably won't cover them again. But if I don't get rid of them, I'll do my best to update these when we get more dual terminal cards from the next set of dual terminal. So either that or I'll just have to make them Hidden Arsenal, which would really kill me, because I don't like making the Hidden Arsenal versions of decks. They just don't look as cool, especially with these new ones. So if you guys actually like the Gem Knights and the fact that I'm covering these as well as Jirax and Lavels, and maybe posting an occasional other deck, just let me know, like the video. Especially if you guys like the video, I'll know that you guys really do like the Gem Knights and me covering them. So it would really mean a lot to me if you guys would just like the video, take a second to do that, if you actually do like the video. So it would really help me out, get me more views and stuff, so that more people know about my channel. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was a helpful video for Gem Knight players.